Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Hartness, and I'm the community manager at Creatively Disruptive. And I have Russell Masters, the co-founder, with us today. So today we're going to be talking about how to keep your restaurant packed during economic recession. And Russ, you've been in the restaurant and hospitality industry for 30 years. You're a fully qualified chef. You've been executive chef. You've worked in front of house management. You've managed restaurants. And now you're COO of a digital marketing agency. So it's safe to say that you are a restaurant marketing expert. So if you could start us off by telling us a little bit about your experiences and background in hospitality and the restaurant industry.
Sure, absolutely. So I left school when I'd finished school, I went straight into cooking school. I did an apprenticeship for 3 years and trained as a chef, I'm in New Zealand, hence the funny accent. I worked in some of New Zealand's top restaurants and progressed as a chef for about 12, 13 years. I travelled quite a bit around Australia, as New Zealanders tend to do, working in resorts, both summer and winter resorts. And then when I decided that playtime was over, went into more front of house management, managing small restaurants, moving into larger restaurants, qualified restaurant manager, bar manager, waiter, silver service waiting, and all of that, sort of good stuff. And then ultimately, start to move into more into the hospitality and tourism side. Started managed a few, worked in various sort of boutique hotels, boutique resort hotels, and then ended up managing a few of those as well. And my specialty was always going into places where they were struggling. They had a really good concept or a really good history, or they just were placed to do really, really well, but just weren't. Something was missing. There was pardon the pun, but there was an ingredient missing from what it was that they were doing to enable them to be what it was that they could be. And so I would go in and work with these restaurants or these boutique hotels, whether it's, I think the biggest one was starting a small chain of restaurants in New Zealand, and just help them really understand what it was that was missing from, I guess, allowing them to be as great as they could be.
Mm-hmm. So you've definitely dealt with lots of different situations. What did you discover are some of the common challenges for restaurants?
Oh, excuse me. The common challenges for restaurants. I mean, one of the biggest ones, and this is before digital marketing was even, before the word digital probably even existed, and that's that filling tables. Every restaurant has to some level of almost predictability, during the year as to, hey, this day of the week we're typically busy. These days of the week we're typically quiet. These days of the week we're maybe 20% full. But it's always looking at that, what's not full, right? And so many restaurants, and especially as competition grows, right? The more competition grows, the more demand there is, to grab that customer, and the bigger the likelihood of, if you don't do it right, to to have more and more tables that are not filled, and that's just money sitting there. It's being wasted, and it really makes it like the more tables you have that aren't full, and I'm telling restaurant owners that they know, and I think they'll empathise with this. The more tables you can fill that aren't normally filled up, the more revenue you're going to make, and it's that predictability as well. Some restaurants who take bookings or reservations, right, they have a better sense of predictability because they can look at their res book and go, okay, we've got 100 bookings tonight. Looks like we're going to be 50% capacity. We'll probably get 50 walk-ins, because that typically happens. So there's a level of predictability. But then those restaurants which are just solely walk-in, right, there's no reservations, it's down to that sort of almost trend-based predictability. It's Friday, it's probably going to be busy, and then Friday rolls around and maybe there's new restaurants opened up, and Friday just sucks, right? And you're telling staff they got to go home early, and and you kind of in a bit of a panic mode. And the solution really is trying to, like, how do we put more predictability into filling those tables up, and how do we try and, as much as possible, not rely on those couple of days at the end of the week, like the Friday, Saturday, when everybody's out eating, and then and competition's fierce. How do we fill up more of those sort of Monday, Tuesdays, the Sundays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, the later lunchtime trades, the earlier dinner trades, and those sort of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are common challenges all the time. But currently in the US, we're facing potential recession and inflation that's through the roof. And like all business owners, restaurant owners are probably starting to feel the heat, especially because I think a lot are under the impression that dining out is a luxury, that people won't want to
Yeah.
indulge in during a recession. So, what would you say to the restaurant owners that are feeling this way?
Yeah, I mean, look, let's face it, dining out is a bit of a luxury, always has been, right? Otherwise, people would dine out every single day at every single meal.
Mhm.
So dining has always been, it's something special. Now, how special it is often depends on, like, the level of the restaurant you might go to, but it also depends on the level of income a particular person or a family has at their disposal. And so what you see when things are great, like if we say that, like, this is, from the lowest income family or individual to the highest income family or individual, that, when everything's great, right, everybody's dining out to some level, right? Those with more disposable income are dining out more, those with less disposable income are dining out less. Now, as that, as economic times, sort of get tougher, then what happens is that upper level, right, they may dine out less, but they're often not affected as much, right?
Mhm.
Quite often it's those with that sort of in that lower income bracket that do get affected, right? And those who might have gone out and, you know, had dinner once a week or once every 2 weeks, maybe with the family, maybe they do that less. Um, but the biggest thing, and especially, let's talk about the word recession, right? The businesses that survive recessions are the ones that really dig in and make sure that they take the lion's share of what that market is. Because if that market's shrinking for a while, all that's going to happen is that the competition is going to be harder, right? So there's still, for a while, there's still the same amount of restaurants. Unfortunately, and it is unfortunately, as you go through, some of these restaurants start to fall by the wayside, and you start to get, less competition going for that same audience. So the biggest thing that you can do is, is really look at, how do you stay front of mind with those people who do still go out and eat. And yes, some people will do it. Some people will stop going out and eating because they really just can't afford it. Others might start reducing the amount, or they might start, going out and only having one course instead of three courses. They might go out as a couple for date night instead of a family thing with the entire family.
Mhm.
But people will still eat.
Mhm.
The key is are you going to have those customers, or are you going to let your competition have those customers? Um, and there's two primary things around that, right? Making sure you're front of mind, and then delivering a fantastic experience when people come in, that makes them want to come back the next time.
Right. Absolutely. So how does that work? How do you recommend that restaurants become top of mind?
It's really simple. And whether it's, we use digital marketing now, and prior to that we used to use, print advertising and some more, sort of traditional means of advertising. But it's advertising and it's marketing, right?
Mhm.
It's about ensuring that, you know if you use Facebook and Instagram, making sure that you post regularly, but when you post regularly, putting money behind it. Because if we post on Instagram or we post on Facebook as a business, no one's going to see it.
Mhm.
Maybe a few of the people that like your page or follow your profile, maybe a few of those will see it, but not a lot of them will, right? Facebook is set up like that. That's how it makes money. So you'll get a little bit of distribution. but you need to put some money behind it. You know, you need to spend some money. It's like putting an ad, you know, traditional media. It's like putting a small ad in a free newspaper that doesn't have a very wide distribution, right? But you put money in the big newspaper that has a wider distribution, you get more eyeballs, right? Digital's no different. So you really need to look at all of the channels that you advertise, all of the channels where customers can potentially see you and then potentially engage with your restaurant, i.e., come and have dinner or lunch, breakfast, a drink, you know, book a table or you know whatever. And it's by ensuring that all of those channels that you amplify what you're doing in each of those channels. We call it amplify because that's the methodology that we teach restaurants. Is also the same methodology that we use with restaurants to grow them. And so if you're using Facebook, so okay, I might be doing some posts. How do I amplify that? Okay, well let's find an audience of people within a certain vicinity of our restaurant, and let's put a little bit of money behind those posts that we're doing, and let's amplify the reach of those posts so we're reaching more people, so more people see it. But I can guarantee you that knowing the restaurant, you know, a lot of the restaurant industry and being in this industry for so long, one of the things that often doesn't change that a lot of restaurants aren't very good at actually, you know, really good consistent marketing and branding and putting their brand out there, right? A lot of times they'll rely on being, you know, in a strip mall or a place with high foot traffic, and you know they've got the people out the front going, you know, trying to beckon people in, but it's too late at that stage, right? Because they're walking past and they, you know, down the road there's two more, and just past there is two more, and across the road is another one. So they're already at that point. They're at that point of trying to make a snap decision. But if you, you know, if you've already been front of mind, and I go down and I see, you know, Lindsay's Steakhouse, and let's say I'm an absolute fan of steak, and I see great reviews, and Lindsay's Steakhouse keeps showing up on my Instagram feed, or if I and you know on my Facebook feed, and then I do a search in Google and I go, you know, steakhouse near me, you know, what's the best steakhouse near me, and then Lindsay's Steakhouse comes up in a Google local search. Then I'm like, I'm going to Lindsay's Steakhouse, right? And I walk down, say I'm in San Diego, and I walk down the Gaslamp district. There's restaurants and there's people telling me to come in. I'm beelining for Lindsay's Steakhouse. And there's two things that have happened there, right? You may have picked up on that, right? One is Lindsay's Steakhouse is front of mind, right? It sounds great. Maybe I've looked at the menu by now, and I'm like, I want to go there. But secondly, it's got great reviews. Because Lindsay's Steakhouse then has delivered a fantastic experience to its diners. So I can cut through all of that noise, restaurants all over the place, and I go straight to Lindsay's Steakhouse. Maybe I bring some friends. And so that's what I mean, you know, like with that, you know, from social posts that have added some, you know, some money behind them at the very least, like boosting them or sponsoring them, or using the ads manager and really, you know, having a strong campaign that's just constantly putting yourself in front, your business in front of people. You know, if you've got events, say you're doing a Margarita Tuesday or half price pizzas on Fridays, or there's, you know, NFL days or whatever it is, and everybody knows about it. And then when they go to search, right, and they go, oh, I remember this. What is it, Lindsay's Steakhouse? They do a search, and maybe they don't even remember it, but they type in the steakhouse, and it comes up on Google, and that's called brand recall, right? You go, oh, that's right, Lindsay's Steakhouse. I keep seeing that, and then I see, you know, 375 5-star reviews. Oh my gosh, that looks great, you know. So now you've gone from, you know, just being, you know, on my newsfeed to I recall that brand. I want to go to that brand, and now I must go to that restaurant. Right? It's not a, oh yeah, we can have a look. I must go to that restaurant because my cravings are so high right now that, you know, I want steak. There it is. There's my solution. I'm going to cut through all of the other restaurants, and I'm going to that steakhouse. Deliver me a great experience. I'll be back with friends regularly, right? And it's simple. It's really that simple.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't do it, and that's what makes it even more powerful, right? Because a lot of your neighbors might not be doing it, but you do it, especially when economic times are tough, because people go, oh, times are tough, let's cut back on our advertising. It's like saying, oh, it's cold, let's take off all of our clothes. It doesn't make sense, right?
Right, yeah.
I mean, it might be interesting, but it doesn't make sense.
I think that's absolutely where people's minds first go is money's tight, cut the ads, and that will not work. That's what's going to force you to close your door.
Yeah, and those and people, unfortunately, and I said unfortunately because it is, I hate seeing businesses struggle. I'm a business owner. I have been for a long time. I don't like seeing businesses struggle, and even more so now because my entire business with my business partner is all about helping businesses. So when businesses don't get the help or don't do the things they need to do and they fall by the wayside, it's really, really sad. But it's also an opportunity for those who do the things that they need to do, because at the end of the day, less competition, it means, more share of the pie for those who are doing the things well. But while you've got that competition, stand out in front of everybody else. If you don't, then, you're going to be, you're fighting for the scraps, right? You get the big, and you have to be a big brand, right? That's up there going, like taking on the lion's share of doing this campaign. You can be a tiniest little restaurant. We've got restaurants that are like, really small, and it doesn't matter because on digital media you can reach people with a little bit of money, and regardless of the size, you can still reach those people, and you reach them with a message that makes people mouth water or makes people thirsty because they really want to try that, that particular cocktail that you've got. Then you'll start getting that interest. But it's got to be consistent, right? You can't just do it and then not do it and then expect it to, to work because people are busy. They've got getting bombarded with things all of the time. And so you just have to have that consistent, that consistent level of advertising and marketing so that you're constantly hitting those people within the vicinity of your restaurant. When I say the vicinity, like, how far would people actually travel? If you live in, a city of 1 million people and you advertise out like 30 miles, I mean, how many people are going to drive 30 miles to your restaurant in a busy suburban, area? Maybe you'd be better off just advertising to people within, like 10 miles or 5 miles or within 1 mile during lunch service or dinner service for those people who are like literally really close by. So, and when you reduce the amount of the geographical area that you're advertising in, whatever channel it is, you spend less money and you'll get better results because you're not spending money to people to reach people who either less likely or would never come and see a restaurant because it's too far away.
Absolutely. There's definitely a lot of power behind digital marketing. It's a lot to learn, but we have the tools to do it for you or to teach you how to do it yourself. So I am going to pop a link in the comments to our website.
And while Lindsay does that, I was just going to say, Lindsay, while you're putting that link in, that's a really important part for us because we physically cannot help every restaurant, right? We can't take every restaurant in the US as a client. So we created this course, the Revenue Toolbox, basically as a way to show exactly what we do for other restaurants so that, if you are a go-getting, do-it-yourself type of person, or we're just, too full and we can't take any clients, you can actually have access to the same methodologies that we use, our Amplify method for restaurants that we use, that our team uses every day, and take these, these lessons and do it yourself, right? But if you're too busy and you're just, like you're a lot of restaurant owners and you're right in the middle of it, and you need somebody to do it for you, then we can do it for you as well. Or you jump in this group and you just want to ask some questions. Either way, look, our goal is not necessarily to have you as a client, but to help you grow as a business. However, we can do that.
Absolutely. So that link has been posted. There's all 3 different resources, whether you're looking for our Facebook group, our course, or our services. So thank you so much, Russell, for talking to us today, taking the time to explain all that. I hope that a lot of people will take advantage of the tools that we're giving them because it's really the key to surviving the impending recession.
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure getting on the call.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.